Great to have you on the programme this morning.
Sophie.
So first of all, what is the latest that you can tell us? It's been a very fast-moving investigation.
It has, and I would like to thank the British Transport Police who have been working around the clock since Saturday night when this attack happened to conduct investigations. Obviously, there was only 8 minutes between the first emergency call coming in from the train and the suspect, who is still detained this morning, being arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. I would just like to start, Sophie, though, by paying tribute to the incredible bravery of the train staff, the train driver who got that train into Huntingdon Station, the Network Rail controller, the signaller who got that train to a place of safety. But most of all, I would like to say thank you to the emergency services and the one individual who is still critically ill in hospital, who is stable, I'm pleased to say. But he went into work that morning to work on that train service to serve passengers, and he put himself in harm's way. He went in to do his job and he left work a hero, and there are people who are alive today because of his actions and his bravery. And so I'd like to send my thanks and my best wishes to him and his family at the moment whilst he is still in hospital. As I said, the BTP are still conducting their investigations. It's a live investigation, so I am restricted in exactly what I can say, but I can tell your viewers that no stone will be left unturned in finding out what has gone on here.
I think we can all totally agree with what you said there, in particular to that brave man who saved lives, as you said. Indeed. And he's, you know, paid a personal price for that. It's really good news to hear that he's stable, at least in hospital. I guess my next question is, a lot of people are going to be waking up today, getting on trains, getting on buses, feeling a bit less safe than they did last week. What can the government do to make people safer on public transport?
So one of the things that we're doing immediately is we are increasing the visible patrols that people will see at stations, because I do recognise that people need reassurance after the events of Saturday night.
How long?
That will be for the next few days. So some of the British Transport Police officers who are on duty will be deployed into stations.
With respect, you know, increasing the number of visible, you know, guards and police on trains for a couple of days, that's not going to make people safer on public transport, is it, in the long term?
Yeah.
Or even in the short term?
Public transport generally is a low-crime environment, and this incident was absolutely horrific on Saturday night, and I don't want to take away from that in any way. But generally, our trains are some of the most safest forms of public transport anywhere in the world. For every 1 million passenger journeys that are made, there are 27 crimes, so 27 for every million passenger journeys. Now, for me, one crime is one crime too many. So we will, after this, review all of our security measures, because that is the right thing to do. I remember after the London Bridge terrorist attacks, for example, there was a big call for more hostile vehicle mitigation, big concrete bollards on the roads of London.
Are you thinking about like scanners, like airport-style scanners? Is that something that might be looked at in the review?
So I don't think airport-style scanners would be the way to go. I understand why you asked the question, and I understand why some of your viewers might be wondering about that. We have thousands of railway stations across the UK, and those stations have multiple entrances, multiple platforms. So what we can't do is make life impossible for everyone, but we do need to take sensible and proportionate steps to make the public transport network safe.
I just want to pick up on the fact you said that public transport is a low-crime environment, right? Because there'll be a lot of people listening to that who, frankly, won't believe it, and that they've seen what they would see as an increase in criminal behaviour or antisocial behaviour on our public transport. I'm thinking about fare dodging, right? You see people jumping the barriers all the time. The Lib Dems and the Conservatives have called for a much larger crackdown on antisocial behaviour. People, you know, listening to music without headphones on, stuff like that. And I obviously know this is very, very different things we're talking about. But I guess there is an argument that if people look around them and they see these kind of behaviours accepted on public transport, then we're just creating a climate where people just don't feel comfortable. Are you going to be tougher on this?
So I think people vote with their feet. And actually, if you look at the number of people that are using the trains
but that's
this year
you have
compared to last year...
That's because you have to often,
Sophie,
isn't it?
There's been a big increase.
People have to get into work.
There's been a big increase in the number of people who are coming
So is that a no then? We're not going to do anything to tackle fare dodging?
Well,
we're not going to...
If you just let me
tackle antisocial behaviour.
If you just let me finish making my point, Sophie, there has been a big increase in the number of people who are once again using the trains. And I think that is because people have confidence, starting to have confidence again in the train service. Now, what I will make sure is that everyone who is using those trains can feel safe. The British Transport Police have got a particular focus on violence against women and girls at the moment.
So nothing, you're not talking then at all about the fare dodging or anything like that?
Oh, no, very much so. Okay. People have to be paying for tickets and we need to make sure that we crack down on fare evasion because that is not a victimless crime. If people aren't paying for tickets to use the trains, then they are taking away vital investment from the rail network.
Now, there's another story that I did want to ask you about this morning because Wilf has spoken to the ambassador to the US, Warren Stevens, who, I'll be honest, has had some pretty strong words, to say the least, about the UK's energy policy. He points out that energy costs in the UK are way higher than in the US, and he says that he's calling on the UK to re-examine its policies in the North Sea and, frankly, make some changes to it. So he's saying that Ed Miliband needs to start more drilling in the North Sea in order to help our economy. What would you say to that? Is he right?
So our policy has always been a phased transition away from North Sea oil and gas. There are a whole host of licences that have been issued for exploration in the North Sea where production hasn't yet started. So whilst the government has said that we're not going to be issuing new licences, we are going to be using oil and gas from the North Sea for very many years to come. The wider point I would make, though, is the only way we can reduce our dependence on international gas prices, and we've seen the problem that has come about as a result of our dependence on the international the international price of gas, with everything that the war in Ukraine and Russia has done. We've got to invest in renewables because that is the way that we make ourselves independent when it comes to energy generation.
If you look at Warren Stevens...
And it's also the way that is ultimately going to bring bills down.
Well, Warren Stevens disagrees. He says that costs are high because you're not issuing enough new licences. He says having a growing economy is essential, and in the UK, the electricity costs make it very, very difficult. Is he wrong? Is that what you're saying?
There are licences that exist for exploring oil and gas in the North Sea where production hasn't yet started. This is going to be part of a phased transition. We're not turning off the taps on North Sea oil and gas, but we do have to get that investment into renewables, to new solar, to new onshore wind, to new offshore wind. Our policy has actually seen huge investment into renewables in the last 18 months. These are the jobs of the future, and this is the way that we are going to get energy independence, which, given everything that has happened in Ukraine and Russia in recent years, I think that's what the British public want, and they want to see their bills coming down, and that is ultimately what that investment in renewable and new nuclear as well. We've obviously made that commitment to Sizewell C. The combination of renewables investment and new nuclear, new small modular reactors, that is going to give us the energy security that the British people want.
Thank you very much. It's great to have you on our first programme as well, though I'm sorry about the circumstances, obviously, with that tragedy that we saw in Huntingdon. Thank you.